Hey sis, welcome to the Sisterhood, Soul, and Strategy podcast, a space for women building businesses that feel as good as they look. I'm Steph, a small town girl from Wisconsin with big dreams to positively impact the world. This podcast is from the heart, where we share real conversations about building intentional businesses that thrive in every season. And the best part, we talk both soul and strategy, and we wrap it all up in sisterhood. Because let's be real, business is more fun in community. So no matter your age or stage of small business ownership, you stumbled upon this podcast for a reason. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited. I'm recording another solo episode today, and I hope you guys are enjoying these solo with Steph episodes because I sure am. And I'm just recording them when I get hits of inspiration. And I've talked about this before, but this is a huge reason why I joined a gym this year was because from the ride to the gym and the ride home from the gym to my house is when I start getting just like pings and hits of ideas and things that come to me that I feel called to share. So this one recently came up in multiple conversations in the gym as well as on podcasts talking with other business owners. And it's been something that I've really had to wrestle with myself for the season of life and business and motherhood that I'm in. And so there are two questions that I want you to ask yourself when you set a goal and you sit down to create a plan to reach that goal, and or maybe you are on the quest, you're on the journey towards that goal, and you have to ask yourself these questions along the way. And first, I just want to say that this came from my own personal friction of feeling like I could be or should be further along in my goals, in my business, in the gym, in my season of motherhood. And so I've really had to pull back and ask myself these two questions in every area of my life lately. So these two questions actually sound like they're competing with each other. And that's why I want to break them down because they're both important. They both have different meanings behind them, and they're both important to ask ourselves for the season that we're in when we're trying to reach a goal, whatever that is. And the first question is, at what cost? And I want to give you an example immediately. So at what cost? I was having a conversation with my trainer in the gym. And we were talking about my goals and my weight loss. And I have been like pretty consistently losing about a pound a week. And I know that's good. That's sustainable. It's something that's going to stay off. But there's always that part of us that wants it to go faster. Like we want to reach the goal now. I want to, be able to feel that release of weight faster. And he said, well, you can lose weight faster. I could get you losing 2-3 pounds a week, but you would be losing muscle too. Like you would pull out your strength training sessions. Are you willing to do that? And I'm like, no, no, I like feeling strong. I like lifting. And so that was a really like in my face example of like, at what cost am I willing to get to my goal, let's say for weight loss of just body recomposition? Am I willing to give up my strength training sessions? No, I am not. He also said, well, we could put you in a further calorie deficit and a more restrictive diet. Are you willing to do that? No, I'm not. Just being honest because I'm a busy mom. I'm a CEO of multiple businesses and I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to feel restricted. I'm not competing in anything that I need to do that. And I want to lose this weight in a sustainable way by building in the healthy habits and the lifestyle so that it actually stays off. Right? Because I know if I go to crazy measures just to like reach the goal, that doesn't mean I'm going to stay at that goal. I have cut weight for MMA fights before. Like I know how that works and I'm not willing to do that. That's not worth it to me. I want to do it in a sustainable way. And he said, okay, great. And you are you are on track. You are doing all the right things. You are doing it in a sustainable way. And it's just going to take longer because you are losing fat, but you're gaining muscle. So that actual movement on the scale is not going to be as rapid as if you were just looking to lose fat and not maintain your muscle mass. Okay? Very clear example in the gym. Then I had multiple conversations on some podcasts and with some other business owners, and even just in my own reflection of my money mindset in this season is like, wow, I feel like I could or should be able to make more money, but that would require me firing all of the people that help support me, that I pay, that are either part of my team or outsource and delegate. Am I willing to do that? No, because that would be me going back to doing everything myself and being overwhelmed, having no time for my health, my family, and the things that really matter to me. Could I spend every weekend running around working to serve more real estate clients and making more money ultimately? Yes. Do I want to do that? No, not every weekend. Maybe every once in a while, I want to spend my weekend working, or if it's just one showing or something. But like, do I want to spend every night and every morning as soon as I wake up clocking in? No, because I value my health and my time for myself, and I value that time with my son and my husband and my family. Hey, it's just me here interrupting the podcast to tell you about my favorite cup of tea and why this is such a ritual for me daily. I love the Rosarium from Inner Garden Botanicals, pouring it from my little tea brewer here. And for me, this just brings presence, peace, and calm to my day. It's a really simple yet essential piece of my evening routine. And I've even started drinking it more throughout the day, which, if you know me, I've always been a caffeine addict. And so this forces me to reduce my caffeine intake, slow down, enjoy and savor this beautiful cup of tea. I love the loose leaf blends from Inner Garden Botanicals, and I absolutely love everything that this company stands for, which is all about rituals, presence, peace, which is what I'm all about, and how we can support ourselves in the seasonalities of life. If you want to try out Inner Garden Botanicals, you can get 20% off your first order when you use my code SOULSISTER20 today. Cheers to bringing in some incredible rituals into our day today that support us and ground us in the present moment, like Inner Garden Botanicals. Hey sis, did you get your ticket yet for Sister Circle Summit 2026? If not, what are you waiting for? This is so much more than just your average, and dare I say, boring business conference. This experience of Summit is a Midwest movement bringing together the trailblazing women small business owners across the Midwest and beyond for a 2-day experience that is so much deeper than just strategy, and also more than just sitting and listening to speakers. You are going to feel the difference this year. We're at a brand new venue. We have a brand new schedule and flow. We've added brand new pieces to this event, like our soul session and VIP mastermind dinner. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, now is the time to do so. Invite your fellow sisters or come solo, because you're going to make so many new friends. There is so much intentionality behind this event, from the sisterhood connections to the soul level subconscious work we're going to dig into, as well as, we're always delivering you a business strategy in real time. So what are you waiting for? Go to sistercircle.co, get your ticket today, use my code Steph, and save on your ticket, and I hope to see you there. So that's the first question. At what cost? Because of the season that I'm in, which is why we have to take it through that lens always, that doesn't make sense for me. I used to run at a really high pace, used to be able to just grind and work so much before I had Val, and also before I was really prioritizing this time for myself and my family. I made it a priority, even through my pregnancy, that I was going to do my best to clock out every day around 5 p.m. because I knew once I had my son that that was going to be my reality. So I was practicing that. I was stepping into that. So, at what cost are you willing to hit your goal? It can be like where maybe you are in a season where like you don't have kids or your kids are old and you're like, yeah, I actually really want to work more. I'm sure I will be in that season at some point, right? Where you're like, I'm ready to run. I have spent every weekend at home watching shows, doing the nap thing, nursing, whatever that is. And I'm ready for that next level season of me. And that is amazing. But if you're feeling also like, well, I don't want that right now, but I do want to grow my business. Okay, here's question number 2. What am I willing to do? Because at what cost sets that boundary of like, here's the line. So this is what I was saying is like these two questions might seem like they compete with themselves, but they don't. And here's why. Because I can say, okay, I am not willing to work every night, immediately work upon waking, work every weekend. I'm not willing to do that. At what cost am I willing to grow my business? Not that cost of my family and my health, but what am I willing to do? And that comes over here into that just because I'm not willing to give up those things doesn't mean I can't grow my business and reach my goals. But what am I willing to do? Okay, well, I'm willing to pay someone to come and help me do the things that are not my area of genius. Maybe I'm not good at, or honestly, I'm just wasting time doing the things. I'm spending too much time doing something that someone else could do 80% as good as me, and I should spend my time in other areas. I need to get laser focused on where my time and energy are spent by tracking it. Like, what am I willing to do? I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do the sales touch points that I need to reach my goals. I'm willing to follow up with people. I'm willing to do the hard things in my business to still hit my goals, but not at the cost of my life and my health. So that's just like the business side of things. But again, looking at the health and wellness side of things, what am I willing to do? Okay, I'm not willing to like give up my strength workouts or have this like crazy restrictive diet, but I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to track my macros, to make some swaps based on my nutrition goals. I'm willing to get up and go lift. I'm willing to do the extra things outside of my workouts and outside of my nutrition, like get good sleep and hydrate and drink my protein and all of those things. That's still a lot. And that's still hard work. I'm doing the hard work, but I'm not willing to do it at the cost of something that is going to be unsustainable just to get me to where I want to go, quote unquote, faster. And that's ultimately what this whole conversation comes down to is the pace that we're wanting to run in any goal that you want to set. What are you willing to do? And what are you not? At what cost are you not? So I think it's a really interesting conversation because we are at this boundary, this, like I said, there's almost a caveat to it because this side feels like, well, I'm not willing to do that, but I am willing to do this. And I think it's a really important way to frame any goal for any season that you're in, especially when you're in a season that is demanding more of you and your time, your energy, your capacity. For example, motherhood is a perfect example of that. When you have young littles, I've been talking with a lot of women lately who have kids, 4 or 5 and under that are growing and trying to build or scale businesses. And I truly think like this is what it comes down to is like knowing your boundaries, but then also knowing what are you willing to do and to push. But guess what? We're doing it in the hours that makes sense for us. If you are a working mom and you don't have childcare, then you're focused during those nap times, right? Like your routine, your systems. You maybe call in a little bit of support so you can get that work done. And if you have childcare, maybe it's like, well, for me, when my child is at daycare, I better be freaking working. I better be doing the shit that I need to do so that when I go to get him from daycare at the end of the day, I can clock out. I can be done. And it doesn't mean that we won't have to have room for flexibility. But more often than not, we're sticking to our values and what we really truly want for the season that we're in. And for me, that's really being present. Same thing with your goals, right? Like it could be a health goal. I have so many friends right now who are like, we're talking about our health goals and like what we want to do and how we want to feel and how we want to show up in every area of our life. Well, then we have to ask ourselves these two things, like at what cost and what am I willing to do? I'm not willing to do a restrictive diet. I am willing to track my macros and just be very consistent and diligent and disciplined in that. So it's finding that fine line, that boundary, maybe playing with a little bit too. And that's okay. We can test things out. We can try new things. And if they don't work, that's okay. But ultimately, this entire conversation is around the pace that you're working to reach your goal. And I want this to be full permission that it doesn't mean you're going slower because you are not willing to sacrifice something to reach that goal. It doesn't mean that you're not going to hit the goal. It just might look different. And this is where consistency and momentum are truly the key, because even if you have a bad week, even if you have to pull back and slow down a little bit, you can still reach that goal. It just might not happen as fast and furious as you want it to, or that we see everyone else doing on social media, because social media is primarily that highlight reel, which is why I try to be really transparent about the seasons that I'm in and the struggles that I'm having and showing up really real and authentic, because there are going to be seasons where we just simply need to figure out that fine line for ourselves. So I hope this was helpful. Wherever you are struggling to reach a goal, or you set a goal and you're not sure how you're going to get there, I want you to ask yourself these two questions: at what cost and what am I willing to do? And I would love to know how this conversation lands with you and whatever goal you have, because I love cheering you on in your goals. And this is where my last point is not comparing yourself to everyone else's timeline and everyone else's race that they're running towards whatever goal that might be, because we're all in different seasons and we don't always see that. We don't know what's on the other side of what someone is struggling with, or what their personal life looks like versus their business. And what they're showing us, again, is that simply a highlight reel on social media, or are we seeing the full picture? We don't know. And so just not comparing yourself to what you're seeing in other people's journeys. We're all on our own journey. We all will get where we need to go in the perfectly divinely aligned time. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And so trusting the journey, trusting the process, do what you're willing to do without sacrificing what is important to you, and surrender the rest. I can't wait to see how this shows up for you in your own journey of reaching your goals. And just know that I'm always cheering for you. Hey sis, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our weekly conversations that drop every Monday. And would you share this with a fellow sister that needs to hear this message too? If you're craving sisterhood, soul, and strategy in action, I'd love for you to step inside our Sister Circle community, where we gather, grow, and build intentional businesses together in real life and real time. I promise business is more fun in sisterhood. Until next time, keep leading with soul, honoring your season, and don't forget, I'm always cheering for you.